In the new Animal Hospital update, Liz has a huge investigation board. It becomes clear that she may have gotten very close to uncovering Animal Hospital's biggest secret. She discovered information about a gene hidden inside every animal, the mysterious death of its creator, an unknown heir to the Animal Corporation, and patients who change over time. Let's go through every clue on her board and try to figure out what's really going on in Animal Hospital. The first thing we see in the upper left corner is a photo of two characters. Next to it, Liz has left several notes, missing shortly after she began working for the corporation. This is already a major clue. We're not just talking about an Animal Hospital patient. Based on Liz's wording, the girl worked for the Animal Corporation and disappeared shortly afterward. Next to it, Liz asks, "Did she see something she wasn't supposed to?" For now, this is not a confirmed fact, but rather Liz's theory. However, the fact that she connects the disappearance to the girl's work at the corporation shows just how suspicious she has become of the Animal Corporation. It's possible that corporation employees gain access to information the organization doesn't want getting out. If this girl really did discover something important, her disappearance may not be directly connected to the anomalies, but rather to a cover-up of corporate secrets. Under the same photo, there's another note. "Ron from accounting will talk. Ron seems lonely. Use that." This is a pretty funny, but at the same time important detail about Liz's character. She literally sees Ron as an inside source within the Animal Corporation. And this suddenly makes Ron a lot more interesting. He works in accounting, which means he could potentially know where the corporation's money goes, where its funding comes from, what Animal Hospital purchases, which secret projects are being funded, who is officially listed as a corporation employee. Ron could turn out to be one of Liz's best sources simply because the accounting department sees things that ordinary medical staff never do. Next, there are 3 bright pink Polaroids. Above them, Liz writes, "Same patient weeks apart." This is one of the most important visual clues on the entire board. All 3 photos show the same character, but their appearance gradually changes over time. This means Liz is no longer simply observing different strange patients. She has managed to document that. One patient changes over time. This raises the possibility that transforming into an anomaly is not an instantaneous event. It could be a gradual process, normal state to initial changes to further transformation. And a little later, Nomali's newspaper articles provide a possible explanation for this process. To the right of the patient is a separate photo of Harlow. Above it, Liz wrote, "Harlow knows something." What's interesting is that Liz doesn't write, "Harlow is guilty." For now, she's only certain that he knows something he's not telling anyone. So even Liz herself doesn't fully understand his role yet. He could be working for the corporation, be involved in the research, know what's happening but be trying to stop it, or be investigating the events on his own. Next to it is another note. "Mouth always covered?" Liz specifically points out that Harlow is almost always wearing a mask. A medical mask is completely normal for a doctor. But that raises a question. Why would the developers put this detail on the investigation board? Perhaps Harlow is hiding some kind of physical change beneath his mask. For example, it could be a sign of the same process that the patients are going through. But for now, that's a pretty bold theory. We have no direct evidence that Harlow is an anomaly. Still, the game is clearly telling us to pay attention to his face. To the right of Harlow, "You must be the new hire. How does he always know? Who tells him? Who sends them?" Liz notices something strange. Harlow always seems to know when someone is a new employee, and she's not just wondering how he knows, but more importantly, who sends them? Who is sending these employees? This suggests that there may be another level of authority above Harlow. Animal Hospital may be receiving its employees through a central branch of the Animal Corporation. with Harlow being informed about them in advance. This is important because Harlow may not actually be the highest-ranking person at the hospital, even though he appears to be. The blue note says, "Sent Harlow a birthday card to see what he'd do. Got a thank you card back, dated before I sent mine." Liz deliberately sent Harlow a birthday card just to see how he would react. He sent her a thank you card in return, but the date on his card was before Liz had even sent hers. Now that's really strange. Possible explanations. The first and simplest explanation is that Harlow prepared his response in advance or deliberately put the wrong date on it. The second is that Harlow somehow knew what Liz was going to do. And the third, and craziest possibility, is that something about him or the hospital itself is connected to time. For now, we can't jump to the conclusion that time travel is involved. But the developers are clearly trying to tell us one thing. Harlow knows things he shouldn't be able to know. Now let's move on to the newspapers. The first one is Animal News number 11. The headline reads, "Scientist honored for once-in-a-century genetic breakthrough. Dr. John Arthur Nomaly receives the World Science Award for his groundbreaking discoveries in genetics." But the most important part is what he says. It's in all of us waiting. Liz immediately picks up on this phrase too. It's in all of us waiting. Waiting for what, John? And that's a very good question. What exactly is waiting? Next to it is a small blue note. John Anomaly, say it fast, say it fast. If you say it quickly, John Anomaly, it sounds very similar to John Anomaly. This is almost certainly an intentional joke by the developers. But at the same time, it emphasizes one important point. Nomaly is directly connected to the origin of the anomalies. The second newspaper is one of the most important clues on the entire board. It says that 52-year-old Dr. Nomaly discovered a previously unknown gene sequence. His colleagues nicknamed it N-strain. And here's the key part. Present in every tested subject. Not just in a few unusual patients. Not just in certain anomalies. But in every tested subject. This perfectly matches Nomaly's words. It's in all of us. The next part of the article says, the gene remains dormant in most carriers. In other words, in most carriers, the N strain remains inactive. Nomaly admits that its function is still not fully understood. Then he says, we have only scratched the surface. He adds that under the right conditions, what this gene is capable of expressing could completely change our understanding. So we get the following model. N strain exists and almost everyone leads to it usually remains dormant. Under certain conditions, it can become active or begin expressing certain traits. And this is where the photos of the patient above start to become very interesting. Theory. Perhaps what we're seeing is dormant N strain to beginning of activation to gradual transformation of the patient. This hasn't been directly confirmed yet, but the two clues fit together extremely well. The article then reveals that Nomaly rejected all university partnerships. Instead, he received an undisclosed sum of private funding who provided the money remains unknown. His research was then moved to a dedicated facility away from public scrutiny, a special facility away from public oversight, and the location of the facility has not been disclosed. The location of this facility remains secret. Conclusion. At some point, the N strain research became secret. This is where the story stops being ordinary scientific research and starts becoming the story of the Animal Corporation. Liz leaves a note. These newspapers are really old. It's a simple observation, but it confirms that all of this happened long before the current events of Animal Hospital. That means the hospital's problems didn't begin recently. The roots of this story go back years, all the way to Nomely's research. Between newspapers number 1-2 and number 3-1, Liz notices missing newspaper volumes in between. The issue numbers are very telling. 1-1 to 1-2 to 3-1. There's a huge part of the story missing between them. The most important part of Nomely's story could be hidden somewhere in that gap. We still don't know. When the Animal Corporation was founded, what happened at the secret facility, what Nomely did with the N strain, when the experiments began, what happened before his death. Theory. Those newspaper issues may not have simply been lost. Someone may have removed them deliberately. Next to it, Liz comes to the same conclusion herself. Impossible to locate. Did they hide them? So she tried to find the missing issues but couldn't. And she starts wondering, did they hide them? For now, this is only Liz's theory, but the developers clearly left this gap in the timeline on purpose. I'm almost certain that future updates will gradually fill in this missing part of the story. The third newspaper. Award-winning geneticist passes under unexplained circumstances. The headline itself already tells us, Nomely died under unexplained circumstances, but the official cause of death was old age. Old age. And this is where things start to get really suspicious. The newspaper reports, a private closed-casket funeral was held before the news was made public. So we have a private funeral, a closed casket. The funeral took place before his death was even announced to the public. These details are far too specific to feel accidental. Possible theory. Why was the casket closed? The most interesting possibility is something happened to Nomely's body. Perhaps the N strain activated and physically changed him. But for now, that's only a theory. Another explanation is much simpler. The Animal Corporation may have wanted to bury him as quickly and quietly as possible because the circumstances surrounding his death could have raised too many questions. After John Arthur Nomely's death, everything passes to his only son, Arthur Nomely Jr. And he doesn't just inherit his father's property. The newspaper explicitly states that he inherits the Animal Corporation and Nomely's ongoing research, which means the N strain research continues. Who is Arthur Jr.? The newspaper reveals that he grew up abroad, has barely been involved in public life, is known to very few people. He is described as incredibly intelligent and fierce. But the most important part is his statement, "My father's work is not finished. It never will be. I intend to continue exactly where he left off." This is practically a direct promise. The work on the N strain will continue. Right next to this article, Liz writes, "No photo of the son anywhere, not one. Who has 0 photos?" This is a very important story clue. Arthur Jr. is the owner of a massive corporation, and yet Liz can't find a single photo of him anywhere. Main theory. The developers may be deliberately hiding his face because we already know this character. If Arthur Jr. were a completely new character, there wouldn't be much reason to emphasize the complete lack of photographs so heavily. It's not proof, but it's a very strong setup for a future reveal. There's a photo of the hospital at night on the board. Liz simply writes, "The Animal Hospital." It looks like the central point where her entire investigation comes together. Nomely, the corporation, the patients, Harlow, everything eventually leads Liz back to this place. Next to the photo, night shift starts at 11. Deliveries arrive at 3. What arrives at 3 a.m.? So Liz has already figured out the schedule. 11 p.m. The night shift begins. 3 a.m. Deliveries arrive. But she doesn't know exactly what's being delivered. Possible explanations. It could be medical supplies, equipment, samples, experimental substances, patients, anomalies, something related to the N strain. The most suspicious detail is the timing. If these are ordinary deliveries, why are they arriving in the middle of the night? Below the board, the central offices are far away from the hospital. This raises another interesting question. If the Animal Corporation's central offices are located far away, then who is actually controlling the hospital on site? Perhaps Harlow has much more authority than he appears to have. Or there could be another hidden facility somewhere near the hospital that isn't officially considered part of the central offices. And once again, this brings us back to Nomali's secret research facility. On the right, called the hospital pretending to be a patient. Receptionist asked what species. I panicked and said horse. I have an appointment Tuesday. This is mostly a funny note. Liz decided to secretly investigate the hospital, but when the receptionist asked what species she was, she panicked and said, horse. Now she even has an appointment on Tuesday. But it's also interesting from a story perspective, Liz isn't just reading documents anymore. She's starting to infiltrate the system herself. Her investigation is becoming active. Another note says, Mom called, told her everything. She said, that's nice, honey. Mom treated there? If we're reading the last part correctly, Liz suddenly discovers, or at least begins to suspect, that her mother was also treated at Animal Hospital. Possible meaning. This could make Liz's investigation personal. If patients were being exposed to something related to the N strain, then potentially her own family may have some connection to the hospital as well. For now, this seems more like a small hint at something that could become important in the future. The blue note says, bought a UV camera, photographed my fish. Fish is normal. Photographed my neighbor. Do not go to dinner at the Hendersons. This is one of the funniest notes on the board. Liz bought a UV camera. She tested it on her fish. Everything looked normal. Then she photographed her neighbor, and afterward decided, do not go to dinner at the Hendersons. But there's an interesting idea hidden inside the joke. Liz suspects that there are signs of anomalies that can't be seen with the naked eye. And if her neighbor really did show something unusual, then the problem may already exist far beyond Animal Hospital. On the wall next to the board, there's a blue note. Met an informant. He's a rat, not undercover rat, an actual rat. This is fine. I have 3 investigations now. This is clearly a joke. She met an informant who turned out to be literally a rat. But the next note actually names him, Rathew. So it seems that Rathew really is one of Liz's sources. The yellow note says, Rathew says the people with suitcases hide secrets. I own a suitcase. Throw it away. Can't be too careful. The point is clearly that Rathew warns Liz about people with suitcases and the secrets they're hiding, which makes her paranoid enough to become suspicious of even her own suitcase. Rathew may know much more than it seems about the corporation's secret operations or the people involved in them. And here's where it gets interesting when we connect this to deliveries arrive at 3. It's possible that these 2 clues are actually part of the same storyline. The biggest question is, how exactly did Nomali's scientific project turn into the Animal Corporation, and what happened at the secret facility? Liz has already found the beginning and the end of the story. Now she's only missing the most important part in between.